Good morning. Had a terrible night of sleep. Hopefully, I'll get a nap later. But this was an article I came across right before I went to sleep, which is in conjunction with what I was talking about yesterday about how Americans will see higher prices of oil. And so, it's a good article talking about basically what I said. Oil steady after sharp decline. Look over here at oil. Oil today is up. And so, for a lot of Americans who are hoping that oil prices are going to go down, it's not going to be the case, especially with the summer months. There's probably going to be a shortage somewhere because the goal is to create chaos. The goal is to create chaos. The goal is to create shortages. The reason being is because the government is creating all these different problems so that then the people, after feeling the weight, right, after people feel the weight of all of these issues, especially because if you're not out there getting money, because people are at home, they're not working, they're just taking a government check. Maybe they are getting paid more, but maybe they weren't getting paid well to begin with. And it's because you have to have a skill. You have to have a skill, especially with what's coming. You have to be skillful and you have to be willing to invest in yourself and to train yourself so that you become more valuable, so that you're able to extract resources from basically these wealthy individuals. I mean, realistically for now, the dollar is where it's at, and you need dollars to basically get anything done. And of course, to feed your family and to keep a roof over your head. And we see the government, because of the moratoriums, because of keeping people at home, they're saying, "Don't worry, we'll take care of you. Don't worry." But not everything that is an incentive is to your benefit. Not everything that they incentivize you with is for your benefit. It is for their benefit. And we're going to talk about that as well moving forward. But this is a good article for those who are thinking oil is going to come down. I'm invested in oil. I've been invested in oil from the beginning when I saw what was going on. And I was like, I know the game that you're playing. I remember this story. I know how this story ends. The other thing that we'll talk about, which is actually quite dangerous, are brothers here to the north. Canada, Justin Trudeau, it says they have suspended federal elections. Just look this up. You can easily find a little bit more information utilizing search engines like DuckDuckGo. But basically, the story is that they were like, "Oh, well, there's a pandemic, so we need to, for health reasons, right? It's always going to be for health reasons. We need to suspend, cancel." This is in a stunning blow to their democracy. Canadians MP has voted to cancel or at least suspend elections until the government decides COVID is over. It says Brad Johnson asks if this horrible decision could result in great hurdles to ever get the vote back to the people, and that's 100% yes. If you allow this to happen, then all you end up with is the rise of a dictator. And it's in these sort of environments, and this is why I've repeatedly looked back and spoken about what happened during the time of Nazi Germany. And Nazi Germany in the 20s and in the 30s look very different than the Nazi Germany of the 40s. And it's because these sort of environments basically make it ripe for the wrong people to come into power and basically overthrow everything that the people stand for and to basically enslave the people. And this is basically what you're seeing in many of these countries that you were like, well, what's going on here? I thought y'all were for democracy, and you quickly see like that within a couple of months how countries that where individuals thought they were free, and you see the rise of a dictatorship that comes out of seemingly out of nowhere. But the reality is that isn't the case. Is because the people don't value their freedom. They don't push back hard enough against what's going on. Right? The 2 weeks to slow the spread was a perfect example of people not valuing their freedom. They became fearful of a virus with a 99% survival rate. And some people might say, well, after the fact. And I was like, okay, maybe after the fact, but then you got to go hard to get everything that you sacrificed to these politicians. They're not going to willingly give it back. Once you get that taste of power, people don't want to give it up. Look at Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi said that She was going to be retiring. And then she's like, you know what? I ain't dead yet. Maybe I'm going to wait till I'm 2 feet in the grave. And then maybe I'll think about retiring. And this is what these people do. Now, in terms of the jab, and I've said it many, many times, you look at all these different states and like, oh, Texas are free. And I'm just like looking at you side eyes and like, why is your governor every single day talk about how many people you got to take the poke? I was like, y'all not free. It's just a semblance of freedom. It's fake freedom. You're not free out there in Texas. You imagine that you're free. Maybe you're freer than here in New York. And we're going to touch on something that I found very humorous. But the reality is, people in Texas and Florida, I mean, every single day I say, oh, make sure you get your poke, and just nonstop ads. Get your poke, come get your jab. And I'm like, this don't look like what a free state would look like. Now they tell you, hey, you go out and get the poke. Hey, go ahead, you get the poke, you can go out and do a little more. And they're like, yes, we're free. We got a little bit more of our freedoms back. But what you really don't realize is you've already given up your soul. Right? Once you give up your freedom, you have nothing. You can be manipulated, which is why they're so adamant about you taking the jab, to the point where everything has been about guns. We got to get rid of guns. We got to get rid of all these different guns. And then you look at West Virginia to offer not only trucks, but also guns. Take a listen.
To the fishing and hunting clubs. They're also doing things like giving away a Ford F-150 trucks, as you mentioned, every week for 5 weeks starting at the end of June. And they're also doing something that's a little more controversial. They're giving away 5 shotguns and 5 hunting rifles as well, just for the fully vaccinated or even partially vaccinated. All they need to do is just get at least 1 shot. Now,
you don't even need to get both. I'm like, where's the science behind that? Because it has nothing to do with the science. It has everything to do with your compliance. That's the only thing that's of value, right? It doesn't matter. They'll give you trucks, we'll give you guns, we'll give you rifles. You want some Henny, we'll give you some Henny. You want a little bit of weed, we'll give you weed. You want tickets to the game, we'll give you tickets to your favorite game. You like Tesla, we'll raffle off a Tesla. You want some money, y'all are broke out there? Let's do a little bit of lotto. We'll up the stakes, right? You got the poke. We'll give you some lotto money. And this has been coming out. Some of these kids that can't afford school, hey, I will get you a free scholarship. Like a truck, right? Maybe you're out in the sticks somewhere. We'll get you a nice pickup truck, right? And this is the point. They'll offer you whatever it takes, Just like, when I see stuff like this, it reminds me of how the devil tried to offer Jesus he showed him in a vision, right? When Jesus was fasting for 30 days and 30 nights, it says in a vision that the devil came to him and he showed him all the kingdoms of the earth. And he said, all this I will give you if you do one act of worship to me. That's all it took. You only needed that one act. He's like, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the earth, because that one act was worth more than all of those kingdoms. That's how valuable his worship was. The devil was willing to give him everything that existed upon the earth. I'll give you all of these kingdoms. That's all I need. Just one act. And that's why they're so adamant about getting you to perform. Just do this one act and you'll be able to go back to normal. Just do this one more thing. That's all we got to do. 2 weeks of solar spread turns into a year and a half, turns into you taking a medication that has not shown where they haven't done any long-term studies. It has nothing to do with the virus. It has everything to do with your compliance, because your compliance is worth more. It's worth more than the pickup trucks. It's worth more than the tickets that they'll give you to your favorite game. It's worth more than the shotguns that they're offering you. It's worth more. They were offering a lifetime hunting license for these people. They're like, you like hunting? We will give you lifetime hunting. And you're like, why do you want me to take this so bad? Why do you want me to take this so bad? You should be thinking about it all the time. Why are they pushing so hard for this? It has nothing to do with the virus. It has everything to do with your compliance, because your compliance is worth more than everything that they are willing to give you, whether it's money, whatever incentive, right? The money has no value. What the real value is your compliance. Are you willing to comply? Are you willing to offer up your sacrifice, right? And they're not going to hold you down and make you take it. You have to volunteer your freedom because they want you up here as a slave. It doesn't matter if they hold you down. All it does is it just makes you even more adamant of who your enemy is. But if you comply, if you give in, well, then they have you exactly where they want you. That's the reality. Many people, unfortunately, are just hoping to get in your, people just want some semblance of going back to normal. It was funny when I did my video yesterday. I went to the gym, and I live here in New York City, and I see they changed the sign when I went into the gym, and I noticed I'm reading the sign, and it says, according to the New York State law, it was like, if you took the poke, well, then you don't have to wear a mask inside the gym. But if you did take the poke, if you didn't, well, then you still need to wear a mask, and then you still need to social distance. And so I was in there, and I see there's only a couple of people without masks. So I'm like, did all these people take the poke? So as I'm leaving, I speak to the guy at the front desk, because before you used to have to sign out, right? And that's how they kept track of who came in and who came out in case somebody got sick. Nobody ever got sick. And I asked him, I was like, how do you know who took it and who didn't? And he was like, it's an honor system. And I was just like, these mother. And this is the point, is that they put the fear of a passport in front of you. And I asked him, well, I was like, well, wait a minute. What about that whole passport thing? And he was like, yeah, the state said that we're not allowed to have people's medical records. And I'm like, playing people. They put the fear of, well, you're going to need this to get into X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, it's just an honor system. And I'm like, so you mean people just walking in and out of here? You don't even know. They could just be lying. And he's just like, yeah. I'm like, they got y'all so bad. It was a shame too, man. But this is what happens when you forget your training. You forget your Bible-based training, and you become fearful of men, and then you look to men for your salvation. These people are going to save me, and these people are controlling you every step of the way. These people are controlling you every step of the way. You people need to wake up, man. You people need to wake up, because what comes next is worse than what goes on now. What comes next will be worse than what is going on now.